So when you're playing piano, I think one of really important skills is being able to play by ear. And the truth is the vast majority of people cannot play by ear. Partly because when they can hear sounds, they can identify a song, but if you ask them what note is being played, they have no idea. And that's just because it's a lack of familiarity with the keyboard. So playing by ear increases the familiarity with the keyboard, which is a very important skill. And one of the problems most people have is just identifying what note it is. And if they can't identify what a note of a song is, then everything after that is flawed. And the reason is because if you can't identify the initial note, every note after is a problem. So we can start with something called relative pitch versus absolute pitch. Absolute pitch is you're getting the note exactly right. Relative pitch is you're getting the notes correct in relation to other notes. So as long as I guess relative pitch, you can pick any note to start with. It's just what note comes after is going to be dictated by what was before. And so I think relative is fine. I think getting the relative pitch first is fine. It's tempting to just buy the music. Let's just take shortcuts. And in this society that we live in, everything needs to be fast, quick, and cheap. But there is something to be said for learning something by ear. So you just listen to a song and you hear it by ear. First of all, playing by ear can help you get the emotions correct much faster. The tone of the piece, you can get it correct much faster if you can do it by ear. So what we're doing here is I think Ode to Joy is a really simple one. So I know it, but my point is to just say, here's the note, here's the note, here's the note. This note, this note. I don't want to do that. I want to foster thinking for yourself. So if you did not know anything about music, if you did not know anything about the keyboard, you know that the notes are in relation to each other. This is obviously lower than this. This is going to sound higher than this. Which note is it? Well, if we're doing relative pitch, it doesn't matter. My suggestion is if you're going to do relative pitch, choose C major. The reason for that, initially first, is there's going to be no black keys. Now the key might not be in C major, but that's fine, just then choose A minor. And this is where it helps to have music theory experience, knowledge. But to just get you started, C major. So to refresh everyone's memory, Ode to Joy is. So if you didn't know what note to play next, what would you do? Well, let's say you can't figure out that it's E first. So you start with. You're going to get it wrong. You can pick any key that you want to start. But I think when we're trying to learn this, like I said before, the key that you picked is really important. So if you know when you start with D or whatever you pick, C, it's just understanding what is the second note that comes after. So it doesn't matter what note you pick, but the note that you pick after is going to reveal over time what key you're in. And that is going to help tremendously. You don't have to do relative pitch, you can do absolute pitch. The point is, I think the focus needs to be, you have to start with the premise that you're going to make mistakes. The question is, what is your process for correcting those mistakes? Is it just to give up in frustration, which is what 99% of the people do? Or is it to think about it critically and to say, okay, we've got a dedicated issue here. And the dedicated issue, we have a dedicated problem, a focused issue, which is no. So what's wrong with this? We know it's wrong, but what is wrong? Well, if we started on D, this is what it has to be. But if we pick the wrong note, we have to correct it. Is that too high or too low? That's the next note is really important. So if we started on D, we can immediately see, hey, there was something wrong there. And what I'm hoping is have the courage to make a mistake, but also have the courage to correct it and have a process for correcting it. So whatever note you pick, by definition, it has to be, there's three possibilities. The second note is either, the first note, if you're playing the relative pitch game, is going to be correct. It doesn't matter. The second note is either correct, too high, or too low. And I think what's really annoying about this is that a computer could do it. So I'm getting it right, but I'm going to deliberately get it wrong. Okay, so I know it should be lower. And I think what the experiment needs to be is to think critically. Is that too high? Well, let's say I'm totally tone deaf. I think it's not too high. I think it's right. But this is for sake of discussion. We both know it's wrong, but let's pretend we're in a different world and we think it's right.